Hi everyone, today I just wanted to quickly reflect on the Mabon sabbat or the autumn equinox here that we recently had in the southern hemisphere, and just record I guess how I felt about the energies at the particular time and whether I connected to this particular sabbat or not. I started with Lunasar and I will continue on for the full wheel just to see how I feel about all of these, because it is my first time celebrating them. Now, I think I do feel a lot more connected to this autumn equinox time, just because we are noticing the changes. It is really a transitional period. It's a lot darker here in the mornings. It's starting to be cooler here in the mornings, although we still are getting quite hot weather. There's also a lot of rain about, and previously I thought, or I always attributed this to the Easter period without actually looking at sort of the pagan Sabbath. So I'm wondering if perhaps instead of it being around Easter time, it might be that it's always at the autumn equinox. So that's something I'm going to keep a watch on from year to year to see if that is a period where we do have a lot of rain, which is really good for all of our gardens. It's refreshing everything, and you're seeing the grass pop up green again and everything after a really intense February summer. So that's something that's really good. So I do think I feel a lot more connected to the equinox, and it may turn out that if I don't end up celebrating all of the sabbats on the wheel of the year, I will definitely celebrate perhaps the equinoxes and the solstices, but that's something obviously to think about as I go along. Now, I didn't do anything really involved ritual wise, just because it did fall on a Thursday and a Friday. I did take some apples from work from the fruit bowl that were going to be thrown in the bin, and I did some baked apples with like cinnamon and nuts and honey and everything, and we just had that for dinner one night, along with a little bit more of an elaborate midweek meal than we normally do. I just felt like it was like a quiet celebration without doing anything in particular. The other reason why I didn't do anything too involved is I'm focusing on this Lunar Abundance book by Ezzy Spencer, and the full moon was on Thursday evening as well, so or I celebrated it on the Thursday evening. So I did want to continue on with this practice, and I felt that if I was doing this but also celebrating for Mabon, I felt a little bit overwhelmed, if anything. So that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't do anything crazy. So in this Lunar Abundance book, I'll just flip it to the section on the full moon, and I can sort of share what I did in terms of that. So there are a couple of suggestions as to what you might like to do in terms of celebrating the full moon, and in terms of the intention that you set as well yourself at the new moon. But the one thing that sort of, it revolves around, but one of the exercises to do was something I just did sort of as per the book, which is to obviously write down some, like, all the responses to some of these prompts, and then to burn the paper in a sort of releasing and letting go ritual. So the questions that were asked were: what is holding you back from your new moon intentions? What are you afraid of? What are you really afraid of? Who are you angry at? Who has slighted you? What frustrates you? Who do you need to forgive, including yourself? And then obviously getting out the pen, journaling the responses to all of these questions, and then getting a piece of paper and burning it, which is exactly what I did. So another thing I did actually on Thursday and Friday, which I didn't really recognize as being part of the energies of this particular, like the full moon energy and the Mabon energy, but when I thought about it later, I realized why it is I'm feeling called to do this. And that was basically decluttering. So in my personal life, it was decluttering my wardrobe and all my clothing. And at work, I actually went through like our giant cupboards and storage, and I chucked out a lot of stuff and just basically neatened everything up. I was feeling super I guess, called to organize and to like purge stuff that was no longer serving. So I suppose in a way, even though I didn't necessarily do this in a like ritualistic way, it is sort of a part of the energies of Mabon and the full moon. So I've noticed a bit of a pattern for myself when we go through transitional periods. So for example, the one from summer to autumn and also from winter into spring, I start looking at my wardrobe. I start thinking about, you know, like if there's any gaps. And I have talked in my first depthier video about the fact that I will not buy clothes for ages and ages, and then I'll end up having gaps, and I'm a bit of an underbuyer in that way. So clothing is something that I am allowing myself to purchase, but obviously thoughtful purchases, not just going out on a shopping spree. So it's not on my banned list for my depth year 2019, but I've noticed that those periods are ones where I really focus on, I guess, like all, you know, things like my style, how I'm presenting myself at work. You know, what do I actually want to wear? Am I just wearing things because I've, you know, seen them, and, you know, do I like what I'm wearing? All of that sort of stuff. So I've noticed this trend, and it did happen for me last February as well. So that's something I've looked at again. And the negative, or if I let myself, I go into this spiral of watching capsule wardrobe videos on YouTube, and then I start feeling really dissatisfied with what I currently have, and I want all of this stuff that I didn't even know existed, especially, you know, for brands that, you know, they might be good quality brands and everything, but it's not like I have the means to go out and suddenly purchase a whole new wardrobe of these high quality items. Now, something that I am looking to do is replacing all of this like fast fashion with high quality pieces that are going to last me for years and that I can put away out of season and everything. But it just sends me, if I let it, it sends me onto this really negative spiral. So I have to be really careful when I start watching these videos, because it's really easy to start feeling really dissatisfied and really disgruntled and everything. So what I did the other day was I pulled out all of my clothing. I have done the life-changing, or I have read The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, so I adopted her method. I pulled out all of my clothing, hanging clothing in my drawers and in the laundry basket, and I just dumped the laundry basket stuff on the floor. And I went through and I got rid of everything that didn't spark joy. So even the things that I'd previously kept because I knew there would be a gap, for example, like a work jacket that a friend had given me when she no longer needed it. I have kept this because I thought I might need it one day, and it doesn't fit terribly well. I'm quite, like I'm 5'2", so sleeves tend to be like, you know, I tend to look like I'm wearing like my mum's clothes, you know, and I'm a kid, so it doesn't fit terribly well, but I've kept it just because, or just in case. So I've gotten rid of a lot of the just in case pieces, and I'm just going to have a look and see what remains, and take a step back and think about intentionally bringing things into my wardrobe. Another thing I noticed is when I did that, I have like 90% workwear clothing, and that's fine because I spend a lot of time. I spend 5 days a week at work, but really I have nothing to wear on the weekend that is sort of, that I want to wear. It's sort of more like work appropriate, like I could wear it to work. All this to say, I suppose, is that I decluttered about 3 large shopping bag sizes of clothes. I guess it's all about really being happy with what you have, once again, as part of the depth years. I suppose all in all, for me, Mabon has been definitely a transitional like energy, and I've just felt the need to just get rid of all of this stuff. So I guess that's another way that I unofficially celebrated the Mabon and the full moon in March as well. So yeah, I think definitely I'll be celebrating the autumn equinox next year. I think it's one that I do really connect to, and I would like to actually spend a little bit more intentional time reflecting on Mabon, and maybe having a bit more of a celebration, that sort of thing. It sort of feel like it just hit me out of nowhere this year, and I sort of wasn't really prepared for it. And you get caught up in the day-to-day things, and you sort of, you know, really zoomed in, and then you realize, like, you know, things are coming up, and if you don't plan for things, then they just can sort of, I guess, slide by without you really being aware or pausing, that sort of thing. So that was my, I guess, reflections on the Mabon period. I hope you found this video interesting. Soon I will be putting up a video on my depth year March review as well, so look out for that one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.